Back with you tonight, here on In Focus. During a media briefing in Mahikeng on Wednesday, Northwest Premier Lazarus Mokgosi shared insights into the progress made in improving the province's situation after his first 100 days in office. He noted that many of the province's issues stem from a lack of sufficient funding, which has resulted in inadequate infrastructure, substandard roads, water scarcity, and numerous abandoned projects. The Premier is joining us now to unpack this further. Premier, good evening, and thank you very much for your time this evening here on In Focus. And maybe as we come in, let us start with a story that, of course, here on the channel we have been focusing on a large part of the week, and it's that of 1,004 illegal miners that have resurfaced from underground in that particular province. It speaks of success, yes, from Operation Valumgodi, which the police have been doing, but it also speaks of, I suppose, a challenge of illegal mining in your province, two, immigration issues, because there are some, of course, undocumented nationals that would have been found there, but the broader issue is around the economic growth or economic development opportunities in the province. With an unemployment of 52.4%, what are you doing? What is your economic plan?
No, thank you very much, Thabo. When we came into office, the first thing that we look into is that the economy of the country and the province is not doing well. There is little growth that relates to the economy, and therefore that poses a challenge into the fiscus of the province. And therefore I said, what we need to do, we need to have a particular approach that should be informed by the provincial growth and development strategy. And for us to have a PGDS is to ensure that we follow a particular process of ensuring that we attract investment, and we must use those drivers of the Northwest economy, which is agriculture, mining, manufacturing, and tourism. And subsequent to that, I appointed the Premier's Economic Investment Advisory Council, which in the main, its task was one, to develop and approve the provincial growth and development strategy. Yeah. What we are busy doing now, we are unpacking it, putting it into work streams that speaks to different streams that relates to industrialization, that may speak to infrastructure and investment and so forth. So we are following a particular direction, which is our navigating compass.
Yeah, the promise is good and well. Setting up an economic task team is good and well. Your opposition counterparts are calling for a debate. I believe it's going to be happening on the 26th of November. But they believe you don't have a plan at all, which is leading to job losses and, if you like, a jobs bloodbath in the province.
Look, what we are doing, we are saying, one, as government, we decided to be leaders in terms of job creation. Unprecedented, Thabo. We advertise as government vacant funded posts. More than 200 posts in government were advertised because we wanted to lead in this process. Secondly, we said we are going to roll out our public infrastructure investment. We are rolling, just for the period that we have been in office, 1.1 billion road infrastructure projects over a multi-years, and we believe that that will sustain jobs. We are also focusing on our private infrastructure investment, and that has to do with catalytic projects in the province. The mega projects that we are having in the province, we've got around Madibeng, Matlosana, in Mahikeng, which are mega projects that we are having. And that's part of what we believe we are going to use. We are rolling out close to 29 water projects in the province, over about 60 million as a province that we are committed to ensure that we roll this infrastructure program. Yeah. Those are the interventions that we are doing. We are having massive skills development program through collaboration with cities in the province, we are having NYDA, National Skills Fund, and on the basis of that, we are packaging proper skills development program in the province.
Yeah.
So from where we are seated, once our provincial growth development strategy is clear, we will be in a position as investors come, they will know that where are we going? Are we going to mining? Are we going to tourism? Are we going into manufacturing and so forth? Yeah. Just recently, I had a dinner with the Indian Business Forum. Clearly, I expected them to come to the province to also showcase in terms of their interest. On the 28th, like I said, I went to China, I went to South Korea, I was in Beijing, I met business people. They are coming to this province on the 28th with clear, concrete proposals for us to agree on this investment.
I'm glad you mentioned the 29 water projects, some 66 million. You'll tell us where the 66 million is going to come from, but there is also a concern around spending so much amount of money and ending up with white elephants. One example that has been given is the elevated steel tanks and reservoir in Moses Kotane. To say for a long period of time, that particular project remained a white elephant before, of course, it began to pump some kind of drop of water into the system. Another project that is cited as a bottomless pit where you're just throwing in money is the Klipdrift water treatment plant in Moretele. Talk to us about those projects and why you believe the 29 are not going to end up like these two as an example that I've just mentioned.
We have just handed over a project in Naledi, in Stella, of bulk sewer and water reticulation to the tune of 79 million. The project is complete. We handed it over to the community. But look, we will not be able to understand project implementation, heat glitches which are there at an operational level. But if there are challenges in any project, the implementing agent, whether municipalities should be able to deal with water projects at different stages with different challenges at an implementation level. But of importance is monitoring of these projects, Thabo. So important that we should ensure that we don't have at a particular point projects that are end up, like you said, that are the bottomless pit where money goes and there is no accountability. If there is any shenanigans that relates to a project, we must zoom into that information and the necessary action must be taken.
Yeah. How are you heightening that level of accountability? For example, I've mentioned that particular project that keeps escalating in terms of costs. What measures are you putting in place to ensure that when you say the budget is 66 million, it's going to be 66 million for the projects and not more?
The 66 million that I'm referring to is cutting across different projects in the province. But we'll understand that also water it's a matter that is also responsibility of the Department of Water and Sanitation nationally. So we'll have projects that are run by municipalities, which are water service authorities. We'll also have projects that are run by the national department. And in certain areas as a province, we come in, even though it's not the mandate of the province, we intervene to ensure that our people have water because we believe water is life. And therefore, when there are such challenges, we should ensure that we provide water to our people. But the reality is that project management and implementation is a problem. We need to up our scale to ensure that when we implement projects, we implement to their logical conclusion. But monitoring, evaluation of projects is the most important thing.
Yeah. You mentioned also in your 100 days that at least 3 municipalities would have obtained an unqualified audit opinion. Your opposition saying, Premier, that's a poor score to be proud of. I mean, it's only 13%. If you look at your counterparts, are able to have at least 86% of their municipalities getting a clean audit. If you're coming here with just 3 out of the many that you have that are not doing well, it's not something you should be proud of.
No, I'm not sure what are they referring to, Tabo. If you look at our own municipalities, we are aspiring to have clean audit in our municipalities. But when you look into the entire municipalities, you look at their performance from where we are coming from. What I was emphasizing is that there is serious progress in terms of their work as it relates to the annual financial statement submission. I said all municipalities submitted except the municipality of Ditsobotla. For us, that's an achievement. I'm not proud of it, but it's work in progress that shows that we are getting somewhere. I also said, yes, it's true. Those that have moved from qualified to unqualified, it might not be big numbers, but our own province has their own challenges. And when we see progress, it must be acknowledged and work on what we have now and work on improving the small fraction that they're speaking about, because we are agreeable with them that it's not good, but it's better from where we were before.
Right. Premier, what are the snags? I'm at the Social Development Department. What are the snags with the service level agreements? Why is that process delaying to the point that as we sit now, there are 33 NPOs that are at the verge of either having their water and electricity cut off, or they are sitting with employees that are not getting paid their salaries?
Look, our NPOs, on an annual basis, they are allocated money and they must sign service level agreement. Now, there are challenges which differ from one NPO or the other. At times, it's about capacity and accountability. You will agree with me, Tabo, that we are giving NPO public money, and public money warrants accountability. So before we can give you a second tranche, you must account on your first tranche that has been given to you. We can't continuously allocate money, but there is no accountability. That's why we are setting up teams specifically to assist NPOs to ensure that they are able to account properly in as far as their books are concerned. So at times it's about accountability of our NPOs. And therefore, where we are saying, what we are saying is that report and we give you what is due to you.
Yeah. So is that what is delaying this process now, that these NPOs have not given you proper records of how the money would have been spent?
Definitely. If there are specific different aspects, we can look into them. But in the main, what we agreed, I used to be an MEC for social development. And that's why from time to time I said, when I was still the MEC there, can we advertise and give our NPOs a 3-year, not an annual application, and ensure that at the beginning of the financial year, all of them are given their first tranches. So in the second quarter of the financial year, they must account for the money given in the first quarter. And that was done timeously. They were appointed. They are no more applying annually. It's a 3-year appointment, but on quarterly basis, they are given tranches which they must account and report for.
Yeah. Let's come to the Department of Education. There are issues there. The appointment of the HOD being one of them. Let's start there, and then we'll talk about the scholar transport as well. What are the delays in the appointment of the head of department?
We have advertised the post of the head of the department. Like social development also has been advertised. Department of Economic Development also we have advertised. The posts have been closed. We are in the process of setting up panels, and shortlisting and interviews will subsequently take place. So we are in the right track to ensure that substantive heads of departments are appointed.
Yeah. How is that affecting leadership? Because there's instability there. I mean, we are talking here of schools now in Gauteng, but it's schools everywhere in Limpopo.
Tabo, come again?
I'm saying, how is it affecting stability of leadership, the fact of not having an HOD for such a long period of time? You know that they would have received an unqualified audit. And there are also challenges, especially in schools now, with the safety of the nutrition program and so on and so forth.
no, obviously, when there is no head of the department, by the way, Thabo, I just have to remind you that we are close to about 3 months in office. And that was my first thing when I arrived. Stabilize departments by giving them leadership. And that's why we advertise, and that's why we are at the tail end of the process. And therefore, where we are, we agree there must be a head of department who must ensure that all systems are in place. So from where I'm sitting is that we will have people acting, but at the end of the day, we must follow a particular process to have a substantive HOD. We will ensure that timeously we run the process so that before the end of the year, we have closed and finalized those appointments.
Yeah. The scholar transport highlighted as one that is currently not functioning properly. Could it be because the powers or the functions of the scholar transport were transferred from the Department of Community Safety and Transport to being managed by the Department of Education? And is that something that you are willing to relook?
No, definitely. There is a discussion and a consideration of transferring scholar transport from Department of Transport to Education. It's an ongoing discussion between the Office of the Premier, the two MECs, including the National Department of Transport, which is the one that subsidizes and allocates the grant. And therefore, that discussion is ongoing. We believe that probably when the function is transferred, there could be much more better efficiency and efficacy.
When you came in, you said one of the things that you will prioritize is the youth employment. It will be your focus. You said if you are not talking youth employment when you're talking to me, then you're not talking to the right person. You say you're going to be the champion of this. What have you done, at least in the 100 days, to show your seriousness about that commitment?
We agreed. Earlier on, I made mention of the efforts that we are doing. We are in constant contact and discussions with all the sitters in the province. We are in contact with the National Youth Development Agency, the National Skills Fund, the Department of Labor and Employment, through the UIFs and other stakeholders. What we are doing, we are packaging aggressive skills development program that will try to address and mitigate the issues of unemployment. Those young people who are out of school, those who have post-matric, and we are busy packaging through the Department of Economic Development. And we are using the Northwest Development Corporation as our implementing agent. I will soon be announcing all these interventions so that once we announce them, we announce them at the goal to ensure and make it a point that it's an impact type of an intervention, not in isolated appointments and isolated announcements. It will be a more impactful program that the Premier will soon announce. It's work in progress, but you are right. We have said if you don't talk about the young people, you don't talk about us. There are different programs in departments from learnership, internship, and so forth. But also we are going to be biased in positions in government for young people, for those people who are disabled, who are disabled, but also we are looking at women in particular for biasness in as far as these government positions are concerned.
Yeah. Talk to me about this intensive skills development. What sort of skills are you looking to transfer to young people that would make them readily at least employable or being able to start outfits of their own and be able to be economically active?
Look, they cut across the social sector. They cut across the infrastructure. But at the main, we are looking at artisan type of skill that would make our people, especially young people, either to be self-employed or to be employable, because in this country, we've got shortage of artisans. So we believe that if we go that route, and we are going to use also our TVET colleges and our technical colleges, because we believe that that area is a space that has not been maximized for utilization for this aggressive skills development program. So we are looking at that. There will be soft programs, but there also be hard programs that we are looking. And we believe that training must go with also a skill that has some form of a recognized certification that our people will use across the board.
Premier, I appreciate your time and thank you very much for coming on and for addressing us and your interventions this evening in the 100 days in office in this 7th administration, some of the things that the Premier has been focusing